Discover the incredible signs he is more in love with you than he knew, revealed by Carl Jung. Emma felt trapped in the white walls of the hospital, every noise amplified by the silence that surrounded her, a universe away from the love she longed for. Each shift, she poured her heart into her patients, swaddling them in care while the clock ticked loudly, reminding her of another day lost to longing. Even during the quietest nights, whispers of affection danced around her mind, unwelcome but persistent. Her father's health was failing, adding weight to her shoulders. She was steadfast, resolute, yet the emptiness crept in like a shadow on an overcast day. Across town, Jake, her high school friend turned mechanic, watched from the garage as Emma rushed by each morning. He admired her strength, the way she carried her burdens with grace, never asking for help, even when his heart ached to offer it. Jake was the quiet type, the kind of guy who helped strangers without a thought. He repaired Emma's father's old truck, his hands calloused but kind, but each time he was met with her grateful smile, his resolve weakened. Was he good enough for her? A mere mechanic in a world of doctors and nurses was far from the heroic love story he dreamed of. One stormy night, fate twisted their already fragile connection. A miscommunication, a missed text, a hurried phone call set them on a collision course with distrust. Emma thought Jake turned his back on her when she needed him most. Despite the storm raging outside, it was the tempest in Emma's heart that struck hardest. She pushed him away, convinced that self-reliance was the only path forward. The storm was a mirror of her inner turmoil, a reflection of unspoken words like, "I care" and "I need you." In the small town, the elders gathered. Old Mrs. Campbell shared tales of love synchronicities, drawing from Carl Jung's wisdom about those invisible threads that connect us all. Emma listened, the seeds of doubt questioning the very fabric of her beliefs. She thought of Jake's warm gestures, the casserole during winter storms, the help with her father's errands. Each small act painted a clearer picture of a love she'd been blind to. Yet the hurt from their misunderstanding kept her heart encased in ice. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just as the town faced calamity, a flood that rose higher with each passing hour, Emma found herself thrust back into the chaos of her emotions. Jake, the dependable figure she had shunned, was suddenly by her side, rallying others, sandbagging houses, wrapping arms around the terrified families. His eyes held a depth she had overlooked, a promise unspoken behind every gesture of support. There, amidst the panic and despair, lightning crackled over their heads, calling for a reckoning. Emma stood at a crossroads, aware now that true love flourishes in shared struggles. Would she seize the moment to open her heart? Would she find the courage to mend what was broken? As the storm raged on, they were left dangling in the balance, a connection thicker than the murky floodwaters swirling around them, waiting for one last spark to ignite a roller coaster of emotions. In that charged air, hope teetered on the edge of uncertainty, begging for a chance to bloom. The storm finally began to subside, the torrential rain easing into a steady drizzle. With the sound of raindrops pattering on rooftops, the tension in the air echoed the uncertainty in Emma's heart. She stood beside Jake, watching as neighbors worked together to salvage what they could from the rising waters. His presence stirred something deep within her, something she had been yearning to acknowledge but hadn't yet dared to confront. "Are you okay?" Jake glanced at her, concern etched across his strong features. His voice was steady, yet a hint of vulnerability lingered beneath the surface. She nodded, unable to voice the turmoil swirling inside her. It felt almost cruel to look into his eyes, knowing how she had pushed him away. I shouldn't have shut you out," she finally managed, her breath catching as the words tumbled out. The weight of her admission hung thick between them. "I thought I could handle it," but his expression softened. Emma, you don't have to go through this alone. It's okay to lean on people. It's okay to need help. Those words echoed in her mind like a lifeline thrown into rough waters. Need. She had avoided that word, had cringed at the thought of being vulnerable. But here stood Jake, willing to carry some of her burden. Despite the cracks in their foundation, this moment felt like a chance to rebuild. Emma clenched her fists, feeling the sharp edges of her emotions. I was hurt, Jake. When you didn't answer me. I thought you didn't care. The confession hung heavy, but it was liberating to finally say it out loud. His brow furrowed, and she saw the familiar hurt reflected in his eyes. I was trying to be there for you. I didn't know you needed me so much. The floodwaters swirled around them, yet they stood anchored to the spot. Lightning had struck, but this time it was not thunder that filled the silence, but a moment of understanding that felt electric. Let me show you how much I care, Jake said gently, stepping closer. You helped me see things differently. You taught me to be a better person, and I want to do the same for you. In that moment, Emma felt the dam within her begin to crack. The residual hurt faded in the light of his sincerity. Maybe she could let him in. Just then, the clouds parted, revealing a hint of sunlight streaming through, casting a golden hue on everything around them. Time slowed as Jake reached for her hand, intertwining their fingers. It felt warm, like home. Can we start over? He asked, his gaze unwavering. I don't want to lose what we have. She blinked back tears, overwhelmed by emotions she had tucked away for too long. I'd like that. The words spilled forth, infused with hope. They both needed this maybe even more than they knew. As they stepped forward together, the chaos of the world around them faded. They were side by side, two separate lives beginning to weave back into one. Yet, a piece of her still hesitated, holding on to the fears that had kept her from truly opening her heart. Emma? Jake's voice broke through her thoughts, pulling her back to the moment. What happens next? The question echoed with so much weight. They had weathered the storm together, but the challenges ahead loomed large. Could love blossom amidst uncertainty? Would they find strength together, or could past fears shatter this new beginning? The sun peeked through the clouds as hope lingered in the air, urging them to take their first steps toward an uncertain future. Emma took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest like a drum. The warmth from Jake's hand washed over her, igniting a mixture of calm and chaos within. The world around them had transformed. The storm clouds were retreating, but her inner turmoil still bubbled just beneath the surface. What did starting over truly mean for them? Let's just take it one day at a time, she said softly, her gaze flickering to the tangled mess of debris and water that lay before them. There's a lot to fix outside and in here. She tapped her chest and offered a nervous smile, but her voice shook. That sounds good, Jake replied, his tone filled with understanding. He squeezed her hand gently. I'm here for all of it. Whatever you need, Emma. I promise. The sincerity in his eyes encouraged her, yet the constant whisper in her mind of fear of falling again remained. They would need to get stronger. They would need to face the ghosts of their past mistakes if they wanted to pave a new path together. Maybe we should go help the neighbors first, she suggested, nodding toward the groups of people working. It might help to get our minds off things. Jake's expression brightened. Yeah, I'd love that. Let's do this together. They broke into a light jog toward their neighbors, ready to lend a hand. As they approached, Emma noticed Mrs. Thompson struggling to lift a soaked cardboard box. The woman glanced up at them, her eyes wide with relief. Oh, thank goodness. I thought I'd have to tackle this alone. Not a chance, Jake grinned, stepping in to help. Emma joined in, feeling the energy of teamwork wash over her. It felt good to be needed, to connect with her community while working alongside Jake. As they unloaded boxes from Mrs. Thompson's front porch, rain-soaked pictures fell to the ground. Emma's heart squeezed as she recognized the faces old friends, smiling, wrapped in memories forever captured on fragile paper. She felt the weight of the moment, the need to gather those memories back into the safe confines of their home. "Here, let us save these," she said, straightening up and cradling the photos against her chest. Jake noticed her somber expression, his eyes questioning but gentle. "Emma, I know this is tough," he said quietly, meeting her gaze. "But these are just memories. You can make new ones. We can make new ones." She nodded, trying to suppress the swell of emotion. "You're right. It's just hard to let go." And then, as if sensing her struggle, Jake reached out, tucking a loose hair behind her ear. The gesture sent warmth through her, reminding her that there was still room for beauty even amid the chaos. "Together?" he whispered, confidence flooding his voice. "Together," she echoed, nodding with determination. They returned to helping the others, hands working alongside voices of encouragement and sympathy. As the hours slipped by, Emma found herself lost in laughter with Jake, forgetting the heaviness that weighed on her heart. The sound of community and shared experience illuminated the gray skies, pushing the shadows back, if only for a moment, but despite the laughter, the questions about the future remained. The ground was still uncertain beneath them. As the sun began to set, casting orange and pink hues into the sky, she felt the weight of the shifting tides heading toward them again. "Hey, about what we talked about earlier," Jake started, his hesitance betraying the confidence he had shown throughout the day. "What if," Emma whispered, a frown crinkling her brow. "What if we encountered the same issues again? What if we're not strong enough? You know what I'm starting to believe?" he said, searching her eyes. "That it's okay to stumble. Everyone does. But what defines us is how we rise up afterward. As long as we're together, we can face whatever comes our way." Just then, the wind seemed to carry their unspoken fears away. Emma felt a faint smile creep onto her lips, but it was tinged with caution. "Will it really be that easy?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, the hope in her heart battling against caution. Jake stepped closer, his gaze unwavering. "It's not easy, but it'll be worth it. I believe that." With that, she thought they would finally move onward together, but the silence lingered around them like a thick blanket. Emma's heart raced, uncertainty twinkling in the air. What would it take to truly let go and embrace this second chance? Would they become the main characters of a love story or slip back into past fears? The sun set behind the horizon, casting long shadows as they stood there, hands still intertwined. Would the dawning of a new day bring more storms, or would it reveal the beauty of what they could become together? The next morning, the soft rays of sunlight peeked through the remnants of storm clouds, casting a gentle glow over the neighborhood. Emma woke up feeling a flicker of hope spark within her. Yesterday had been filled with laughter, connection, and the promise of a second chance. Today felt different, a bit like starting fresh. She stepped outside, the scent of damp earth mingling with blooming flowers. It was a peaceful scene, a wonderful contrast to the chaos that had ruled their lives for so long. She spotted Jake already in the backyard, a determined look on his face as he raked through the debris. There was something about his energy that made her pulse quicken. Perhaps it was the way he approached every challenge head-on, with unwavering focus. "Morning," Jake called out, glancing over his shoulder with a bright smile. His enthusiasm washed over her like the warmth of the sun. "Morning," she replied, walking over to join him. Together, they worked, clearing away remnants of last night's storm. The rhythm of their movements syncopated with the simple joy of being together. Each piece of debris tossed away felt like a weight lifted not just off the ground but off their hearts. "I think we should organize a little barbecue later," Emma suggested after a while, wiping the sweat from her brow. "Invite the neighbors, celebrate making it through the storm together." The idea bubbled up cheerfully, and she found herself imagining laughter and warmth over sizzling burgers and bubbling sides. "That's a fantastic idea," Jake exclaimed. His eyes lit up, and Emma felt a flutter in her chest. She loved how they could bring out the best in each other. As they worked, Emma glanced at Jake often. There was ease in his presence, a safety she hadn't felt in years. It felt good to sit in this space, to breathe in and out without masks. But as the smiles came easier, so did the lingering anxieties. The whisper in her heart that had plagued her before returned. What if this was fleeting? What if they stumbled again? Hey, Emma? Jake broke into her thoughts, the gentle seriousness in his voice made her look up. If there's ever something on your mind, just tell me. Promise? His sincerity made her vulnerable, touching a nerve she was trying to protect. I promise if you do the same, she replied, her voice firmer than she felt inside. I know I need to work on being open and trusting this. He nodded, his expression illuminating the space between them. Just know, whatever happens, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. The ground beneath her felt more stable at that moment. Maybe trusting wasn't about ignoring fears but about choosing to acknowledge and confront them together. After a few more hours of cleanup, Emma felt exhilarated. They had transformed the mess around them into something manageable, a reflection of hope for what lay ahead. The neighborhood looked brighter, children's laughter echoed in the background, and the scent of freshly cut grass filled the air. Later that evening, as the sun dipped behind the horizon, Emma found herself standing in front of the grill, flipping patties. She could see Jake mixing something with the neighbors, and warmth unfurled in her chest. She took a moment to breathe it all in, the laughter, the smiles, the sense that they were part of something bigger. Just as she turned to call Jake over, her gaze fell on Mrs. Thompson across the yard. The woman was leaning against her porch, looking dejected as she watched the gathering unfold. Emma's heart sank, realizing that despite the joy around them, not everyone was celebrating. Hey, Jake? She called, her voice a mixture of concern and determination. We need to check on Mrs. Thompson. Jake immediately straightened, his smile fading into understanding. You're right. Let us do it. As they approached the elderly woman, Emma could feel the weight of her emotions. Would reaching out to her bring comfort or open old wounds? She stopped, inhaling deeply. Mrs. Thompson, we're having a barbecue. We'd love for you to join us, Emma said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her heart. For a moment, Mrs. Thompson's eyes glistened with something Emma couldn't place: sadness, perhaps, but also a flicker of hope. Thank you, dear. That's very kind of you. I'll think about it. As they walked back towards the festivities, Emma felt a mix of apprehension and hope for Mrs. Thompson and for herself. Could the connection with their neighbors heal old wounds? Emma, want me to help with anything? Jake asked, cutting through her thoughts. Yeah, she said, her voice low. Let us just make this night unforgettable. She couldn't shake the feeling that this moment, like so many others, was a stepping stone. Would this evening showcase their new beginning or throw them back into their old fears? As they joined the laughter pouring into the air, Emma's heart raced. Her journey was just starting, but would it lead to where she hoped it would? What if the past came knocking again, stronger than before? The sun had set, casting a warm golden hue over the backyard as the sounds of laughter bubbled around Emma, but her mind was still lingering on Mrs. Thompson. The barbecue had brought everyone together, yet there was an undeniable void where the elderly neighbor should be enjoying the festivities. She tried to push her worries aside and focus on the sizzling burgers, their juices trickling onto the grill, filling the air with mouth-watering aromas. Jake was chatting with the kids, their carefree giggles lifting her spirits slightly. But Emma's heart still ached for Mrs. Thompson. She felt a pull, a need to bridge that gap, to offer a hand to someone who seemed so isolated. Hey, Jake? She called out again, her voice barely audible over the music and chatter. Yeah? Jake turned, his brow lifting with curiosity. I want to check on Mrs. Thompson one more time, Emma replied. Can you hold down the fort here? Of course. Go. I'll keep the burgers from burning, he said, a supportive smile lighting up his features. Emma nodded gratefully and made her way across the yard. She could feel the warmth of friendship all around her, kids laughing, neighbors sharing jokes, but with each step toward Mrs. Thompson's house, the weight of uncertainty pressed down on her. Would the woman even want company? Would their presence be a reminder of loneliness or a beacon of hope? As Emma climbed the short steps to the porch, she could see Mrs. Thompson still watching from her chair, a figure seemingly trapped in her own memories. The sight tugged at Emma's heartstrings. "Mrs. Thompson?" she called gently. "I just wanted to see if you changed your mind about joining us." The older woman looked up, her eyes misty yet brightening as they met Emma's. "I appreciate that, dear," she said softly. "But it just doesn't feel like a night that I could enjoy." Emma took a step closer, lowering herself to sit beside Mrs. Thompson. "I've been thinking, would it help if we brought some food to you?" The kids made a giant batch of cookies. Mrs. Thompson's lips turned slightly upward, just enough to form a ghost of a smile. "Cookies, you say? Now that's tempting. Come on, I can't eat them all by myself." "I wouldn't want to get a tummy ache," Emma joked, hoping to coax her into laughter. "I believe you," Mrs. Thompson replied, her tone warming, but she still hesitated. "Maybe just for a little while?" Emma pressed, emphasizing the community spirit she truly believed in. "You could meet the kids, share stories. I know they'd love to hear about the neighborhood when it was new." A flicker of contemplation crossed Mrs. Thompson's face. "You really think they'd be interested?" Emma felt a swell of emotion. "Absolutely. They look up to you. You could teach them things." Mrs. Thompson took a deep breath, her shoulders relaxing a bit. "I suppose it would be nice to share some stories." Emma's heart lifted as she helped the elderly woman to her feet. "Let us do this together." As they walked back toward the light and laughter of the barbecue, Emma felt empowered. Each step was filled with purpose, every word exchanged an act of healing. Together, they crossed back into the warmth of the gathering, and Emma felt the barriers between them begin to dissolve, inch by inch. Jake spotted them first, his face lighting up. "Look who decided to join us." His enthusiasm was magnetic, drawing others' attention to the unexpected guest. Laughter and excitement spilled into the night. Emma felt a rush of gratitude toward Jake. He led with kindness, giving her the courage to extend a hand to Mrs. Thompson. And in that moment, Emma understood how community could create change, not just for one another but for themselves. They were rebuilding dreams together. As the night wore on, Emma turned to find Jake, ready to share in the joy of the moment. But as she scanned the crowd, her eyes landed on a familiar shadow standing at the edge of the gathering, arms crossed. Was someone from their past, someone she had never wanted to see again. What now? Emma's heart raced as disbelief gripped her. Would this be the challenge that broke them apart, or the moment they proved they were stronger together? Emma's breath hitched in her throat, her pulse hammering like a drum. The familiar figure at the edge of the yard sent a wave of anxiety washing over her. Tom. The man she swore she'd never want to see again. Memories of laughter turned sour in her mind, the reminders of broken trust and unfinished conversations clawing at her resolve. "Emma, everything okay?" Jake's voice broke through her spiraling thoughts. He stood beside her now, his brows knitted with concern. She forced a smile, glancing back at him. "Yeah. Just a little distracted." But she knew she had to be honest. The triumph of the evening felt teetering on the edge of uncertainty. Jake followed her gaze, and his face hardened as he spotted Tom. "Do you want me to talk to him?" "No." The word escaped her before she could think it through. "I can handle this." She needed to face it not just for herself but also for Jake, who had unknowingly become her rock during this pivotal moment. As she made her way through the crowd, laughter and warmth wrapped around her, yet the tension radiating from Tom felt like a cold gust cutting through her. Each step toward him came with trepidation, and she felt like she was walking on a tightrope stretched too thin. "Emma," he called out, his voice breaking through the buzz of chatter. There was a hint of sadness laced within that single word, and for a fleeting moment, it snagged her heart. "What do you want, Tom?" she said, her voice more steady than she felt. His posture shifted, uncertainty flooding his expression. He uncrossed his arms, his defenses slipping just a bit. I came to see how you were doing. To see if you were okay." Angela felt a flicker of warmth wash over the coldness that surrounded them. She considered his intentions. Perhaps he wanted to mend bridges that had crashed down in months past, yet she couldn't help but wonder if he was simply searching for a connection he had abandoned. "Really?" she asked, incredulous. "After all this time? You just decide to show up now?" His eyes went soft, searching her face for understanding. "I know I messed up. I should have been there. But I've changed, Emma. I realize now what you meant to me back then." The air throbbed with tension as voices faded into the background. Emma wrestled with her own emotions. Had he truly changed? Or were these merely words, empty promises thrown into a crumbling past? Before she could respond, Jake stepped forward, standing protectively beside her. "Look, man, this isn't the time or place. This is a celebration." Tom glanced at Jake, clearly uncomfortable. "I didn't mean to disrupt anything. I just then don't. Just leave." Emma's voice came out sharper than she intended, but her heart was pounding fiercely. It was now or never. Tom took a step back, hurt evident in his eyes. "I just wanted to see if we could talk. Not here. Just, maybe at the coffee shop." The offer hung heavy in the air, the potential for reconciliation mixing with the hurtful memories. Emma hesitated, fighting off the urge to say yes just to placate the past. "I need time to think," she replied, her voice steady but threaded with uncertainty. Tom nodded, a mix of regret and acceptance washing over his features. "All right. I'll wait." With that, he turned and walked away, the evening festivities pulsing back to life around Emma and Jake. "Emma, are you sure you're all right?" Jake asked, concern etched on his face. She swallowed, the weight of their interaction settling heavily in her chest. "I don't know. I thought I was moving on." Jake took her hand, squeezing it gently. "You are. Just remember, no matter what happens, you've got people who care about you." Tears pricked at her eyes as she turned back to the laughter spilling into the night. Was she truly moving on, or was she just beginning to untangle the knots of her past? As the evening wore on, the night felt heavier than before, leaving Emma to question if she was ready to confront her feelings or if burying them was a more comfortable choice. But somewhere in that rhythm of laughter, a spark ignited. Perhaps it was hope. Perhaps it was fear. Either way, she felt it stirring within her, alive and much too loud to ignore. What if the past wasn't the only thing she had to confront? What if the real challenge lay in embracing the unknown that lay ahead? Emma stared into her drink, the bubbles of the soda swirling like the confusion in her mind. The laughter around her felt distant, a faint background hum against the rushing thoughts. Jake's words lingered like a bomb, soothing yet not entirely convincing. Did she need to confront Tom? Or would it just reopen old wounds? "Hey," Jake said softly, leaning closer. "You okay?" She sighed, shaking her head. "I don't know. I mean, I thought I had moved on, you know. But seeing him, it just stirred everything up. I get it. It's hard." He let go of her hand, resting his forearms on the table. "You don't have to decide anything right now. Take it slow." But the pressure of her own heart was relentless. The knot in her stomach tightened. Tom's words echoed in her ears. "I've changed." How could she trust that? But wasn't it just as unfair to shut him out completely? With a sudden resolve, she lifted her gaze. "Maybe. Maybe?" Jake prompted gently. "Maybe I should talk to him. Just once. To see what he wants. I owe it to myself. Jake nodded but frowned slightly, worry flaring in his eyes. Just be careful. People can change, Emma, but sometimes they revert back just as quickly. I know. I'll be cautious. The thought of meeting Tom, really meeting him, filled her with a blend of hope and dread. What if he truly had changed? What if this was her chance for closure? The night unfolded around her, laughter, dancing, the smell of sweet barbecued food, but all she felt was that little spark of dread. Her heart raced as she imagined what it would feel like to sit across from Tom in that coffee shop. Would it be awkward? Would he still hold the same emotions? Out of nowhere, her phone buzzed. She glanced down, a text from Tom. Just checking in. Thinking about you. She felt a tingle run down her spine, a reminder of the unresolved tether that still connected them. Should she reply? Or should she wait? Hey, are you going to answer? Jake's voice snapped her back to the moment. The pull of the unknown beckoned her. I think I will. Jake frowned, supporting her but clearly worried. Take your time. Emma took a deep breath, her fingers tapping on the screen nervously. Yes, I'm thinking about you too. Just that short line seemed to shift something. She set her phone down, heart beating wildly, unsure of what would happen next. The minutes ticked by slowly, each second dragging out painfully. Did she remember how to have a normal conversation with Tom? With that man who once knew all her secrets and fears? Then her phone lit up again. She hesitated before unlocking it, revealing his response. Can we meet tomorrow? Her pulse quickened again, a mix of excitement and dread bubbling inside her. Tomorrow? We're doing this, aren't we? Jake stated, a hint of admiration in his voice. For the first time in a long while, Emma felt a flicker of optimism. Yeah, I think we are. As the night continued, she mentally prepared herself for the meeting, a delicate balance between hope and apprehension weaving itself through her thoughts. But what if this was more than just a coffee? What if meeting Tom meant facing emotions she thought were buried? When morning arrived, she awoke to sunshine spilling into her room, illuminating her uncertainty. Was she ready to go back to the places that once hurt her? As she picked out her clothes, a thought smacked her. What if they did reconcile? What would that mean for her and Jake? Maybe some questions are better left unexplored, but the heart doesn't always listen to reason. Stepping out into the day, Emma felt the thrill of possibility, but also the weight of anxious trepidation. Tomorrow might change everything. But would she be ready for it? The morning light streamed through the window, illuminating Emma's room, but instead of warmth, it felt like a spotlight. Each ray shone directly into her soul, revealing all her insecurities. She glanced at her reflection in the mirror. Her hair was slightly disheveled, eyes reflecting a storm of emotions. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to focus. Clothes were scattered everywhere, blouses and jeans, skirts and sneakers all suddenly seemed too casual or overly formal. The mere act of dressing now held the weight of 100 unspoken words. She finally settled on a simple white blouse and fitted jeans. It was classic, yet approachable. Just like she hoped to be. As she smeared on some lipstick, her phone vibrated again, jarring her from her thoughts. It was another message from Tom. Just checking to see if we're still on. Her fingers trembled slightly as she typed, yes, still on. She hit send, irritation creeping in that he couldn't have just waited until she was there to ask again. She grabbed her jacket and headed out, the world buzzing with anticipation and dread. Each step felt heavy, and she questioned every decision that led to this moment. Did she really want to open that door? When she arrived at the coffee shop, her heart raced. It was quaint, filled with the rich smell of roasted beans and freshly baked pastries. A part of her wanted to run. Out the door. Home. But she spotted Tom through the window, sitting at a table in the back, his gaze busy scanning the room. If he felt her presence, he looked up and their eyes met. For a moment, time stood still. Turbulent memories flooded back, soft laughter, late-night talks, and the heartbreak that shattered all that. He looked different. Older, perhaps, but still undeniably Tom. Emma pushed the door open, and the little bell chimed, beckoning her inside. Tom stood as she approached. He wore a nervous smile, and she couldn't help but smile back, though it felt strange after all this time. "Hey," he said, his voice obviously tinged with anxiety. "Thanks for coming." "Thanks for asking," she replied, sitting down and allowing her fingers to wrap around the warm mug that was placed in front of her. It was a small comfort against the uncertain atmosphere between them. They exchanged tentative small talk. "How was your job? How's life treating you?" But beneath the words, the tension lingered. Something unsaid bubbled close to the surface, and Emma's heart raced as she carefully navigated her emotions. "The last time we saw each other," Tom began, trailing off. His face fell, and for a moment, they both seemed lost in memory. Emma took a deep breath. "It was hard. I think we both know that." Tom nodded, an expression of remorse washing over him. "I didn't handle things right. I was scared, Emma. I lost myself in you." Her pulse quickened. Could this be the acknowledgement she needed? "I remember," she replied, forcing her voice steady. "You apologized, but I never got to hear the why." He leaned forward, their eyes locking. "I've spent a lot of time thinking. I know I changed, but it was painful. I didn't know how to show it. I thought maybe if I told you that, it might help." As he spoke, the walls Emma had built around her heart began to shake. The kindness behind his words was genuine. But could she trust him? Did she dare allow herself to hope? But just as she opened her mouth to respond, the moment shattered. Her phone buzzed yet again, and she glanced down. It was Jake. "Where are you? Everything okay?" An unexpected flutter gripped her stomach. Here she was with Tom, figuring out a past she had mostly put behind her, and Jake was checking in. Could she handle both relationships? Tom watched her reaction, concern etched on his face. "You okay?" The uncertainty thickened in the air. Emma had a choice to make. An invitation toward healing with Tom, or to the comfort she'd found with Jake. She could jump back into the things that once hurt her, or she could protect her heart from being hurt again. "What do I choose?" she whispered, almost to herself, but loud enough for Tom to hear. He leaned in closer, a plea in his eyes. "Whatever's right for you, Emma. I just want to be honest with you." In that moment, realization dawned. She was standing at a crossroads, the weight of both choices heavy on her shoulders. Could she really dislike the sweetness of what could be? Tomorrow might hold promises, but today was a battle of choices. Would she stay in the past or embrace something new? Maybe, just maybe. Emma hesitated. She had to decide. What was her heart truly telling her? Emma's gaze flickered between Tom and her phone, the weight of that decision pressing down on her chest like a boulder. The warm mug felt hot in her hands, grounding her. Yet, the chaos within roiled. The coffee shop bustled around them, oblivious to the storm in her heart. "Emma?" Tom's voice broke through the noise, drawing her attention back. The concern in his eyes softened her resolve, momentarily lighting a path through the uncertainty. "You don't have to make a choice right now." But how could she not? The past loomed like a shadow, whispering remnants of love, pain, and everything that was left unsaid. It beckoned to her, as if reminding her of what once was, and that maybe, just maybe, it could be again. It's complicated." The words tumbled out before she could stop them. "You know, Jake and we've been really good. Like, really good. But you're here, and it feels raw and real, and I just don't know what that means anymore." Tom nodded, his expression a mixture of understanding and hope. "I remember you saying how much you value stability. I don't want to disrupt what you have. I just want a chance to show you how I've changed. The sincerity in his voice sent a shiver down her spine. Yet, a nagging thought lingered. Did she want to step back into the chaos of their history? Would it destroy the peace she had built with Jake? No, she whispered, more to herself than him, the realization sinking in that this was more than just about them. This was about her journey. I need to put myself first. But why are these feelings still here? The corners of Tom's lips turned up marginally. Because it's not just history, Emma. There's a connection that runs deeper than the past. You know that. His words wrapped around her heart, squeezing tightly. Memories clouded her mind, moments of laughter, shared dreams, sparks of magic. Their time apart had changed them both, but the foundation they built still held weight. I don't want to hurt anyone, she murmured, the dread pooling at the pit of her stomach. Especially not Jake. He's been my rock since I left, Tom finished for her, a cloud of regret shadowing his expression. I know we're standing on sensitive ground. But sometimes, you have to tread carefully to find clarity. Their eyes held one moment extending into an eternity. Outside, the world rushed by, unaware of the importance of their standoff. Shouldn't she lean toward safety with Jake? Yet, the longing for something beautiful, something raw with Tom tugged insistently at her soul. A smirk from Tom startled her from the momentary reverie. You know, we could just leave the coffee shop and take a walk. Get some air. It might help. Suddenly, a vision emerged. The two of them walking side by side, laughter blending with the bittersweet symphony of what could have been. It was tempting. But reality squashed the image as her phone buzzed again, cutting through the nostalgia. Another message from Jake, I can come meet you if you want. Just making sure you're alright. The stark contrast of reality hit her like a cold splash of water. What was she doing? A choice was looming, and it wasn't just for herself anymore. A flicker of determination ignited within her as she looked back at Tom. I need to think. I need to be sure. Tom nodded, the understanding in his eyes deepening. No pressure. Just remember, sometimes the strongest love comes before every thought. The truth echoed in her mind. Here she was, at the brink, balancing all the weight of her past and present. It felt monumental. Taking a moment to breathe, she glanced at the door, knowing it could lead her back into the comfort of Jake's arms or into the uncharted waters with Tom, but the real question tugged deeper. Was she ready to confront what she truly wanted? As she gathered her thoughts, something tugged at her heart. Maybe it was time to redefine her future. Tomorrow's choices would bring clarity, but for today, standing at this crossroad felt like both a challenge and an awakening. Her heart raced. What was the next move? And could she ever really turn away from what felt so right, even if it meant tearing down the walls she'd built? With that thought washing over her, Emma realized an unexpected truth. She was more afraid of not choosing at all, and with Jake standing wait, the question loomed larger than ever, which path would she dare to walk? The sun was bright and warm as Emma stepped out of the coffee shop, filled with memories, emotions, and questions that had previously lingered like smoke in her mind. Fresh air washed over her, a gentle reminder of life beyond the chaos she had spun herself into. The door chimed softly behind her as Tom stayed inside, contemplating whatever weight he carried. Her heart raced. Facing Tom had been a reality check. They had shared a history, but now there was a new chapter waiting to unfold, one she wanted to write with Jake. She felt a familiar thrill in the pit of her stomach as she strolled toward the park where Jake often went to clear his mind, back to the comfort of connection, of knowing he was waiting for her, just like the steady warmth of the sun. As she made her way through the bustling streets, her decision began to crystallize. She glanced at her phone, still buzzing with messages from Jake. The tension of the morning melted into a deep desire to choose, to live rather than drift in uncertainty. Hey, where are you? Jake's text read, and she smiled. His concern wrapped around her like a cozy blanket. Buoyed by that warmth, she hit reply, "On my way. I just needed to clear my head. Can I come over?" "Definitely. I was just thinking we could grab a bite," he sent back swiftly. Next, she took a breath, filled with purpose, and pressed the call button. Her heart pounded slightly louder in expectation as it rang. She needed to hear his voice, the reassuring calm it provided. "Emma. What's up?" Jake answered immediately, sounding relieved and cheerful. "Can I come over?" she said, urgency threading through her words. "I really want to talk." "Of course. I'll be waiting. Take your time." His voice was steady, reassuring her that she had made the right choice. After a quick jaunt, she arrived at his doorstep, knocking softly, and the sight of him brought a radiant smile to her face. He opened the door wide, welcoming her into a hug that enveloped her like an embrace filled with love and understanding. She melted into him, feeling grounded for the first time in days. "Hey, everything okay?" he asked, pulling back to meet her gaze. She nodded, feeling safe, certain of what she needed to say. "Can we sit?" She motioned toward the couch as they made their way inside, the soft afternoon light spilling in through the window. "Yeah, of course." He plopped down beside her, radiating concern mixed with curiosity. Taking a deep breath, Emma knew she had to be honest. "I talked to Tom today and it felt overwhelming." Jake's expression shifted slightly, a flicker of tension tightening his features. "What did he say?" Not wanting to dwell on past wounds, she focused on her truth. "He apologized for how things went down before. He's changed, but I realized something important during our conversation." She paused, thoughts gathering momentum. "I don't want to go back to that. I want to make new memories. With you." His brows rose in surprise but quickly transformed into a gentle understanding. "Emma," he started carefully, "I'm glad you said that. I want you to truly be happy, whatever that looks like." He seemed to gather himself, and she felt a weight lift in the air. "What we have is special," he continued, looking directly into her eyes. "I hope you know that." "I do," Emma whispered, tears pricking her eyes. "And I want to pursue it. I want to be with you, the sweet moments, the laughter, everything we've built together." His smile radiated warmth, illuminating everything within her, a flame igniting it all. He reached for her hand, weaving their fingers together. "You have no idea how much that means to me," he replied. "I was worried you still had feelings for him or that you'd want to see where it went." They exchanged glances, and Emma could feel their hearts beating in tandem, a unison of hope that nourished her courage. "Tom is part of my past," she said, resolutely. "I've admired you, your kindness, your strength. I want to build with you, not try to reconcile the pieces I've already left behind." The joy that blossomed across Jake's face was brighter than she'd ever seen. "I want to build a future with you, Emma. I really do." The uncertainty of what lies ahead no longer frightened her. Instead, it opened a space for opportunity, dreams fresh and ripe to blossom. "I want to throw a neighborhood party," Emma suddenly exclaimed, excitement bubbling over like soda fizzing in a glass. "Celebrate our community, show them we're all in this together, maybe even show them how incredible it is to support each other in tough times." His laughter filled the room, an infectious joy that mirrored her vision. "Count me in. Let us get to work on this." They laughed and chatted, brainstorming ideas, seeming to forget the shadows of the past. The world was a brighter place as they spoke about the future, a place they'd create side by side, filled with laughter, love, and promise. As they planned, Emma could feel her heart expanding, the memories of pain fading away in the light of possibility. Tomorrow would be brighter, and today felt like the first step towards something beautiful, something that would endure the storms. In that moment, Emma knew she had made the right choice. And so, with hope in her heart and a radiant smile on her lips, she turned to Jake, whispering, "Together? Jake's eyes sparkled, and he replied, "Always together." Their hands squeezed tight, symbolizing the promises they were making to one another, a promise to face whatever the future held as a team, to build a love neither had ever known before, but one they were intertwined into writing. The sun was shining brighter than ever, and Emma could almost hear the world cheering them on as they stepped into their new beginning together. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, comment your reactions and feelings about the ending, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.